Okay, so here we have a cleaned USB port, and I have some solder paste here that I'm gonna try to tack solder in and get her to hold so I can work on this a little bit. And I notice you wiggle it a little bit and you get it down. Okay, and I'm gonna go over here and just okay, so we got some more solder paste over here. Usually I have this held in a vise, but I will try to do this so I can display it. Hit this point here to get that solder to hold. Okay, we got a heat there, heat there, those two surface mount pads, which really don't do much. And then the through holes, I'm going to work on this side. I like to work on it on this side, and I'm going to put a little bit of solder on that through hole and get a good bit of solder over here. It's the ground plane that this connects to, so I have to hold this 500-degree temperature soldering iron a little bit for it to really adhere. The same thing here, kind of play with my bevel edge soldering iron, kind of working it in and kind of getting a good surface area on the tip there. Okay, there we go, there we go. You got a really good hot melt now. It's going good. And do the same over here. Really get it hot, because those are grounding points, and you need to get that solder connection solid. Okay, so I'm gonna work it on this side now. Probably be a good idea to clean the tip and then go in. Okay. Alright, I guess it'd be nice to show it to you too. Alright, so here we are. That's good. That's good. Alright. That's sort of good there. Now, as you look, my next and most important point is going to be to solder here. What I'm going to do is put some solder paste right there, and then do a pull action with this side of the tip, so I have not quite as much temperature on there to start with. Okay? Okay, that's my son on his iPad. He's Microtech, and I hope you can see that I've put some solder paste there and then pulled the solder paste in between the rows of pins out a little bit, so I don't have a solder bridge. I hope I don't have a solder bridge. If you do, then you have to use a desoldering braid and carefully remove that. Anyhow, I will try to demonstrate this. I usually do this around a 30 times loop, but I'll try to demonstrate this best I can. what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little draw like that, draw like that, draw like that, draw like that. And that's the general action to get the solder paste to melt. Okay? Okay. So there you have it. I have now pulled the solder paste and made contact on all 5 pins, soldered the through holes really solidly, and done a coating, plating, and soldering of the 2 surface mount pads. This USB port is so worn out, I'm going to have to do an electrical check to see if physically it's making contact over here. I think it's okay. I will double check that in a second and run my tests from this point to the motherboard points to make sure that electrically we have good contact. Okay, so back to our board. We have a lot of solder paste over here, and this is 91% alcohol and a little bit of cleanup action on the board. So basically a horsehair brush, a little cleanup, clean any residues, and make sure we got a clean PCB with no residue, because we don't want solder paste left over on the board, and that's not a good idea. And I'll clean up before I epoxy, put some industrial grade epoxy on this USB connector, because that's gonna help hold it down, and then put it back in. Okay, so here we are. Okay, so now Kindle Fire 7-inch micro USB port repair finalization. Having cleaned the board, I have put some industrial grade epoxy, silicone, and there she be. Now we will try to get her back in, have her fired up, and see how it goes. So typically I like to guide the USB port part in first, kind of jostling it a little bit. See if we can get a seating in here, and one of the problems obviously is that. And she is kind of okay. So I will try to see if we need to create a little room. What's going on? Okay, so now we got a snug fit. Connectors are here, and I'm gonna put in these screws, 6 of them down here, before proceeding, and we'll see you after I do that. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws in. I have this point here, and my toddler son, who is my life, is over there with iPad and Barney, so which is good. Microtech is happy, and I will push that down and finalize my screws. Don't forget these two screws. Once in a while I forget and I have to go back in, open the whole thing up to put these two screws in. Okay, so that's done. Now, importantly, we also have this little foam kind of hardened rubber grommet, which is really important to push in because that is pushing in against the back case on the USB port. The USB port is looking good. It's a wore out USB port, but I think it's still got some life. Okay, a lot of music that you usually don't hear with electronics in the background. Okay, video. Little flex cable push in, sounds good. Digitizer in. Over here, I have had customers who send me this ripped off. Not a good thing. It's very difficult to repair. Anyhow, I got that in. And that in. Okay. So, where are we? We got the power on cable, which is this guy. This can be a little tricky, and let's see if we can get the needle nose and a little thumbnail and get that edge, wiggle it a little bit, push it in, wiggle push, and voila, I think she's pretty secure. Okay, Wi-Fi deal. Mr. Wi-Fi, tiny BNC connector. Let's see if she will go in, and I hope you're finding the background sounds amusing. That keeps me happy. Anyhow, okay, Mr. BNC connector. Let's see if you can find a happy mating here. And we run this through, and voila. Nothing like fingers and fingernails, you know. Okay. So, let's see. Let's take a look at what I'm videotaping. And we run our little multicolored speaker cable. I like the speakers on the Kindle. They're nice. And we run it here. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. And I'll try again. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Push, push, push. Jostle. Always try not to push hard. I've learned the hard way. Pressure pushing will crack, break, destroy things. Okay, so we're good there. Don't forget your rubber foam insert. Oops, you're not seeing what I'm doing. That doesn't help. Get that over here so that holds it in. These devices, they get moved around quite a bit, bumped, dropped, God knows. Fixed a few cracked screens in my life, and so everything should be snug and tight, especially connectors. Okay, so we have everything in, screws. I always do double check. That looks good, that looks good, that looks good, that looks good, that looks good. We're running it nice, and the side there. Yeah, we got most of the tabs intact, so actually all of them pretty much. Anyhow, so now to deal with Mr. Battery connector, and she's a big one and a tough one. I like to do this kind of jostle it with my fingertips, get it down real nice and flat, and then pull it in, pull it in, pull it in, and that writing is my customer's name. So when I do a lot of these, I know who I'm dealing with. Don't put the wrong motherboard in and send it out to a customer. That would not be a happy thing. With 2 customers, kind of mad. Anyhow, so now that that's there, I will press this button and see if anything happens. And I know this one came in pretty dead, and she is still pretty dead. Okay, so Mr. Battery, you're there. Now, what we need to do is put a charge on it and see what happens. Okay, on to chargers. I'll tell you, for the Kindle, since, look at this thing, it's mostly battery. I'd say a good 60%, almost 70% of the insides of a Kindle is a battery. So putting a cell phone charger, tiny trickle charger to this device is a sure way and one of the most common ways to ruin your port. In and out, pull this in, push it in, it doesn't charge, it doesn't, it takes too long, and pretty soon you got a broken Kindle. Okay, this is a rather cheap, I don't know, $5, $7, $10, 2.1 amp iPad 2 USB charger, and I'm holding a 3 feet rather thick, I don't remember the gauge, I think it's 28 gauge, yeah, 28 gauge 3-foot charger cable. This can sync, but it's actually rated as a charger cable. I think at Fry's it was like $6, okay? So $6, $5, $10, $11, you get yourself a good charging method for your Kindle. Here we go, so there you go, and then the other end plugs in here, and we'll give it a whirl in a minute. Okay, Barney break. Microtech is busy with his iPad, and Kindle is coming alive with a amber, real amber, charging light. You can see. Okay, and that's my 3-year-old son, Zarar, singing, and that's music to my ears. And the reason I kind of do electronics like this work is keeps us together. Anyhow, which is fun, which is great. And it gets these Kindles out the door. This guy is charging like crazy. Hooray, hooray, as he would say. And looks like, yeah, we got everything going. And let's see. Yeah, so we'll leave her to charge. A couple more pointers. One thing I wanted to say, which I kind of haven't, is this kind of repair of micro USBs is not for the inexperienced solderer. I've been soldering since I was like, I don't know, 16, 17, 18 in high school, and I don't know, that's many years ago. And now with surface mount components, you have to have hot air also, because it helps to heat up the board, and you have to have fine control of your tip temperature, and you have to have the right bevel, and you probably need to know what you're doing, because if you don't do this on a regular basis, I have a lot of do-your-owns come in that are really then hard to fix, because I have cables that get ripped, motherboards that get pads lifted, and then it is really difficult. I've done it, but then you have to run wires, you have to run wire wrap wires tap from point to point, and that may or may not work even in the best of circumstances and in the most expert of hands. Yeah, I'll put my email somewhere, and you can call, or email me about any repairs or help with this kind of product. I'd be glad to help you, guide you, and help out. The one thing I must tell you is that you need to be very careful, or else you can easily probably zap your motherboard, or take off one of these tiny components. If you take a look, there are a lot of resistors and capacitors right around here, and even in being very careful, I have hit on one or two once in a while and had to resolder them back, and that just isn't gonna happen unless you know what you're doing. But for the people who are experts and know what's going on, I hope this will give you a heads up and get you going to bliss and repairland. So I will now put the cover back on and do my final testing. I always test out all functionalities of a device after I'm done, and probably not a good thing to hold this metal piece over this live circuit. But anyhow, so you can see that that's charging, and yeah, the device is alive. Device is alive, and let's see. There you go. And it's a log device. Great. So I'm gonna have a hard time doing further tests unless I get hold of the owner. But it is running and charging really well. You can see there. Okay, on that note, happy devices. Keep your chargers up to spec, and peace.